What is up, Kalispell? So this afternoon, we're going to talk about something really interesting, and that is being a picky eater, but we've got kind of a little bit of a twist on it. So in the healthcare world, this is trending right now, and it's abbreviated ARFID, and it is Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. It's also known as a selective eating disorder. And it's identified by the professionals at the eating disorder treatment centers as an eating disorder in which individuals restrict their caloric intake to specific kinds of foods, avoiding certain ingredients or dishes completely. This is a clinically identified disorder and not simply a preference type thing or something along the lines of food restrictions or even cultural or religious beliefs. So, how we're going to bridge the gap in that and what we do. So, as many, like a lot of different mental health and behavior disorders, have a common past triggering event, and that's past trauma. Traumatic events can be a number of things, such as a car accident, or even losing your job, going through a divorce. They all have strong effects on our psyche. And especially in children, it's not coincidental that we notice ARFID's first incidents of onsets commonly observed before adulthood. So that's one of those things. Like, a lot of times people will think their kid's just being a picky eater, and in actuality it's something completely different. Now, what we do, we actually help bridge that gap between the trauma, the stress, and the impacts of subluxation that they have on our nervous system, which a lot of people we've found have crazy avoidances to food that it's just bizarre. You would never notice it, but a lot of times that can be tied back to the digestive tract. And say, oh gosh, peanut butter is a common one. We've had people that avoid peanut butter. We just had one about a month ago, a person that could never eat peanut butter before because it made them sick. They've been coming to the office for quite some time. Lo and behold, they actually like peanut butter now, and they can actually eat it without getting sick to their stomach. So that's one of those things that we see. Ooh, Jennifer just threw something up here. An emotional eater due to trauma. Yes, that is most certainly something that we see happen. So people will respond to a stimulus in their world. It can be someone yelling at them, or they just get freaked out. And a lot of times people will call this, quote unquote, being a stress eater as well. So the second things don't start to go their way, they automatically kick to food. The reason they kick to food is because it releases neurotransmitters in the brain. A lot of times they're releasing dopamine and serotonin, and that just makes them feel better. So one of the things we help deal with that is actually make the person aware that they are, in fact, stress eating, and there's ways that they can, I would say, better manage that behavior than just turning to food. Another common thing too, especially in people with brain injuries, like depends on the area of the brain that's damaged, but a lot of times if they damage their olfactory nerve, so your nose, what you smell with, which super, super common in head injuries, you can injure that because where it goes through the base of the nose, so up in here where it comes down out of the skull, it actually looks like a strainer, and then the nerve would, quote unquote, look like spaghetti hanging through there. And in a head injury, those axons can get damaged. So when you lose your sense of smell, or you have a diminished sense of smell, or a, quote unquote, get all medical on you, a perversion of smell, it totally changes the foods that you want to eat. That personally happened to me. I had, for all intensive purposes, lost my sense of smell, which I did regain. But all I wanted to crave were fatty foods because that was one of the things I could actually taste. Pretty crazy, but there's a full spectrum that goes along with that. And as long as you make sure the nervous system is doing what it needs to do, which is run your body, and you allow it to do that with as little interference as possible, or zero interference, you're going to be the best version that you can. So that's pretty dang cool. Traumas can also be tied to that. Like, I know people that have come in and they have told us they have, like, hey, they love their grandma's cake, but they can't stand the sight of chocolate cake anymore. Well, I mean, that's obviously more a psychological thing, and they tied it to whatever instance happened with their grandma, but they no longer can stand the sight of chocolate cake, let alone think about eating it. So, if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you shoot them over to us in a message, and we will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. Have a great day, P.L.L.C.